Snowflakes drifted down like silent warnings as Emily trudged through the frozen forest, one hand pressed against her swollen belly, and the other gripping a bundle of firewood she had gathered before. The sun slipped behind the mountains. 8 months pregnant, alone, and with nothing but a few blankets and determination, she had built a small shelter from fallen logs near the base of Pike Ridge, far from the town where her past had shattered in one night. She had arrived here with a bruised heart, running from a man who never wanted the child she carried, a man who had promised love but delivered fear. So she fled, driving until her fuel died, then walking until she found this quiet place among the pines. Every step made her feel the weight of both danger and hope. Danger, because winter crept deeper each night. Hope, because her baby kicked like a tiny reminder that she was still fighting. With trembling hands, she pushed open the wooden flap she had made for a door and stepped inside her rough cabin. Cold air spilled in behind her, but at least the thin structure blocked the wind. She lowered her wood onto the floor, breathing hard, whispering a prayer that she could survive one more night. The forest outside groaned with the sound of shifting branches, and somewhere in the distance came the deep cry of a wolf. She touched her belly. "Just stay with me, little one. Mama's trying," but the truth was becoming clearer with every shiver. Her body was weakening. The snow was thickening. Her food had almost run out, and her child could arrive at any moment. She lit her tiny fire with shaking fingers, watching the flames breathe life into the room. Yet the smoke leaked through gaps in the walls and drifted into the cold air outside, an unintentional signal to anyone passing through the woods. Emily didn't know that someone was passing through. A man who lived high on the ridge, far away from the world. A man the locals whispered about, the mountain man of Pike Ridge. Some said he was dangerous. Others said he was a ghost. But his real name was Calder Boone, a rugged, broad-shouldered loner who had chosen isolation after losing his family years ago. Bane had carved silence into his life, and he preferred it that way. That evening, while checking his traps, he saw smoke drifting strangely against the wind, a thin trail where no one should be living. He paused, inspecting the woods with the instinct of someone who knew every inch of this land. His jaw tightened. That kind of smoke meant only two things: trouble or someone who desperately needed help. Without thinking twice, he followed it. Back inside the shelter, Emily curled beside the fire, trying to warm her numb fingers. A sudden crack outside made her jolt upright. Heavy footsteps pressed softly through the snow, stopping only a few feet from her door. Her heart pounded. She grabbed the nearest thing she could use as a weapon, a broken stick. The footsteps halted again, silence. Then a deep, strong voice broke through the cold night. "You're not alone out here." Emily froze, breath hitching. The flap moved slightly as the voice continued, gentler this time. "Ma'am, my name's Calder Boone. I saw your smoke. Are you hurt?" Emily's fear wrestled with exhaustion. Every muscle in her body trembled. She didn't know this man, didn't know if she could trust him. But she also knew one thing clearly. She didn't have the strength to fight anymore. Her knees weakened, and she slumped back as a wave of dizziness hit. Calder heard the thud and pushed the flap open just enough to see her collapse. He stepped inside, eyes widening at the sight of her swollen belly, her pale skin, her trembling lips. "Good Lord, you're pregnant and freezing." Emily tried to speak, but only managed a faint whisper. "Please, help!" Calder immediately dropped to his knees beside her, wrapping his coat around her shoulders. His voice was firm but kind. "Don't worry, I've got you. You're not alone anymore." And for the first time in months, Emily felt something she had forgotten existed. Safety. Calder lifted Emily into his arms as though she weighed nothing, carrying her through the snow with a determination that came from somewhere deeper than instinct. The mountain winds bit at his face, but he kept her close, shielding her from the cold. She tried to stay awake, but exhaustion dragged her under until she felt herself being laid on a warm bed inside a real cabin, a sturdy, hand-built home with thick walls and a roaring fire. She blinked up at him, eyes blurry. Calder brushed snow from her forehead, his voice steady. "You're safe now. I'll take care of you." He cooked broth, warmed water, and wrapped blankets around her trembling body. Emily watched him move, strong, quiet, focused, like a man who had learned to survive everything except his own loneliness. When she finally gained strength, she whispered, "Why help me? You don't even know me." Calder looked into the fire, the flames reflecting old grief in his eyes. "Because once I needed help and nobody came. I won't let that happen to someone else again. Not out here." Those words settled into her heart like warmth. Over the next days, as storms raged outside, Calder tended to her with patience she had never known. He repaired her shelter, brought food, and taught her how to stay warm in mountain conditions. Emily, in return, shared her story, her escape, her fear, her unborn child, who was the only reason she kept fighting. Calder listened quietly, jaw tightening, when she described the cruelty she had left behind. "No woman should have to run like that," he muttered. "Especially not carrying a life." Emily felt tears rise, not from one night, as thunder rolled across the mountains. Emily gripped her stomach, breath shortening. Panic flashed through her eyes. "Calder, it's time." He didn't hesitate. He gathered blankets, boiled water, and steadied her hand as she cried in pain. Hours passed, the storm roaring outside, but a different battle happening inside the cabin. Emily screamed, pushed, cried, and clung to Calder's arm with desperate strength. He whispered encouragement, never leaving her side. And finally, with one last push, the tiny cry of a newborn filled the room. Calder actually froze, eyes softening, chest rising in awe. Emily collapsed back, tears streaming down her cheeks as Calder wrapped the baby gently in a cloth. "It's a girl," he whispered. Emily held her daughter close, kissing her forehead. For a moment, the world felt still, safe, beautiful. But then Emily looked at Calder with trembling gratitude. "We wouldn't have survived without you." Calder shook his head softly. "You did the hard part. You're stronger than you know." She smiled weakly. "Stay, please. I don't want to be alone anymore." Calder's expression changed, not fear, but something like realization. He knelt beside her bed and said the words she had prayed for without knowing. "You're not alone. Not now, not ever again. I'll be here, for you and your little girl. I promise." Outside, the first light of dawn touched the frozen mountains. Inside, a new family was forming, quietly, gently, beautifully. And Emily whispered to her newborn, "We're safe now, my love. We're truly safe." Before the story ends, help your viewers stay with your channel. Give them emotional connection, and build your audience with a simple, heartfelt line at the end. Viewers, if this story touched your heart, please subscribe. Your support keeps these emotional stories alive, and I'd be honored to share more with you. Sadness, but from something unfamiliar, being seen, being valued. Calder began checking on her day and night, carving wooden beams to strengthen his cabin until the storm passed. And in those days, something unspoken grew between them. Respect, trust, the slow beginning of a bond forged by survival and gentle understanding.